And then you were saying you saw Sicario, and that was like a video game.
I saw Sicario, and it was like a video game. It was the first 3/4 of it are paced like Call of Duty. Like, it's so fast, and then it's like all these fast parts, and then a cutscene where people talk, and you're like, oh, it's Josh Brolin and Emily Blunt, and then they talk, and then more action, like moving forward, crazy stuff, and then stopping and doing like another cutscene, and it kind of felt like that until like the last quarter that turned into Metal Gear. It was weird. It was really weird. Benicio del Toro ruled in that movie. Emily Blunt was pretty good. Josh Brolin was pretty good. I think Dennis Villeneuve directed it. He made that movie Prisoners, which was really good too. And yeah, I recommend it. It's not gonna blow. It's not gonna be like the greatest movie you've ever seen, but I think visually it's really compelling. The thing that kind of bummed me out is that I felt like there was a lot of CG in it.
Huh, in that movie?
Yeah, because there were like a lot of these overhead shots and kind of like these distant, like,
That's the new norm.
looking through binocular shots and everything, and it's like, none of this is real. Because the rest of the movie felt like close and like very hidden. A lot of like bases that you couldn't see, and kind of like, I guess cloak and daggery, but then it was cool, and then it went like very loud. Look through these binoculars, you see that over there? Yeah, crazy stuff.
Massive thing missing from modern day movies, and I'm sure other people feel the same way, but there is something so special about watching an old movie from the 70s or 80s and knowing that what you just saw really happened.
So I watched Major League again recently.
Yeah.
And the scene near the end where the Indians are playing the Yankees in like the final game for like the pennant, and it's these big shots of like the stadium.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not like they have the entire stadium filled the entire time. You get however many thousand people and you move them to this section to get these blocks of shots in this section, whatever. But seeing that and seeing a full stadium in those shots is like,
You can't replicate that with a computer.
not at all. It feels like so viscerally different, and it's so cool.
And even like I remember I was watching an Indiana Jones movie and there was some car chase and they drove a big truck through a scaffolding filled with dudes and dudes just went flying off in all directions. And I just remember watching like, holy shit, they just crashed that thing into a fucking thing full of dudes. Like somebody could have got killed.
Yeah.
And they filmed it. Like it's so badass. And it's like you could do that in a computer and make it 100 times bigger. You could annihilate a whole city, but it won't be as cool because it didn't really happen. And there's just something that's kind of missing.
Yeah, that's, I don't know, maybe that's just me being like a stickler, but like, I really appreciate seeing those bigger shots with real people, and there's just kind of an X factor that you don't get.
Even just, I don't think it's the amount of people, because in a movie like, have you seen Dirty Harry? You know, there's a scene in the stadium that pulls out, just keeps pulling out. They filmed it with a helicopter. Nowadays, you would do a CG thing, but just like it's two guys, and it just keeps pulling out, and it is so like, it's a holy shit moment, just that the filmmakers were able to execute that. Yeah, I really love that stuff.
Hey, in The Shining, that blood really came out of the elevator, right? How'd they do that? Do we know?
They filled that thing up.
Yeah, it took 9 days to set that shot up every single time. And and he would do a take and go,
turn the tap on.
yeah, that just didn't really come out the way that I wanted it to. So, I mean, they would all look at each other like, all right. Okay. And then 9 days of setting it up. And by the time...
Every time it took 9 days.
Yep. By the time they got that set, they kept kind of just revisiting that shot.
Right.
It was about a year before they got they nailed it.
I feel like he's crazy. Stanley Kubrick is crazy.
You remember that shot.
I was going to say, but that's
you see that shot in your dreams. Perfectly how it is. And if you did that in a computer, you would forget it the moment you walk out of the theater.
No, agreed. And that is great.
What makes me, talking about Stanley Kubrick being crazy, where I start to think that is not even during The Shining. It's when he was working on Eyes Wide Shut, and every city street is a set, and it took like 2 years to film. It's like, okay, this is just a guy walking down a street talking and stuff.
And there's no element.
That's where I start to go.
You control all the elements.
But again, every shot looks perfect. I mean, when he's being tailed in the one part of the movie, it's like,
God, that movie is great.
Every the lighting hits just the right part. He has full control over it. I understand why he wants to do it, but just interesting.
I didn't know Josh Brolin was in the Goonies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
He was like
That was
a
him.
teenager.
I remember seeing Josh Brolin in movies recently, and like
It's like
when he
the guy
came
from the
back, I was like,
Goonies.
oh, that's the guy from Goonies.
Didn't never.
Really?
I think I talked to someone and they're like, yeah, from the Goonies, and I went, no, he's. Oh fuck. I had no
He's been
idea.
around.
When he's in like No Country for Old Men, I'm like, oh, it's the dude from Goonies.
Have you
like,
seen, have you seen Inherent Vice?
No.
He is weird in that.
I heard the whole movie's weird.
The whole movie is like a trip.
That's
The
all
whole
I've
movie's-
ever heard about that.
And honestly,
it's not great. It's just
I don't
It's,
feel like that's for me.
no, it feels like he captured elements of being on drugs on film.
Yeah.
People are like coked out, and then other people are like.
What's the movie?
high on
I think
it.
it's Johnny Depp's in this movie, Dazed and Confused. Is Dazed and Confused with Johnny Depp?
Oh, you're thinking of
Blow?
Big in Las
Fear and
Vegas.
Loathing.
Fear and Loathing. That's what I'm thinking of. I couldn't handle that movie.
Oh, really?
It was too much for me.
That movie's great.
Yeah, that to me was too much of a trip, and I was like, it's too weird.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Not for me.
You really see bats. It's fucking cool.
I'm a fan of Amelie.
That's my thing.
I got a college dorm with that poster on it.
It goes right there by my Reservoir Dogs poster.
Yeah. I got the Pulp Fiction guys going like that.
The Pulp Fiction guys.
Isn't that what they're called?
Yeah.
The Pulp Fiction fellas.
Yeah.
I have all the women sitting with the albums.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
I have,
New albums.
I've got the black and white poster of the two girls kissing.
Hey, I had that.
Sean had that. Sean had that
Yeah, dude.
poster.
I got Albert Einstein.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I bet you never seen a smart guy's tongue before.
That's a dumb guy move.
Hey, how many
Yeah.
times?
You expose the tongue, you're exposing weakness.
How many times has America saved Matt Damon? You know, so again, email podcast at mega64.com and tell us your thoughts.
You don't have to email us that. It's
Yeah.
okay. You don't have to email us that. We'll be all right.
It'll be okay.